Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators here. Okay, now some of you may have been on some of my webinars before. If you haven't, just a little bit of sort of background information. They're always recorded, posted onto YouTube within 24 to 48 hours, and you will also be sent a recording as well. So if you do wish to watch this webinar back at any point, you can do. And now I appreciate some of you are going through some difficult times at the moment. Just to let you know, us as a company, we are here doing everything we can. On top of that, we're also running lots of these webinars and little videos of tips and tricks just to sort of keep you up to date with everything and what you can be doing. So with that said, today's first webinar is what we're going to call the Cloud Appointment Book. Now that basically means you can have your appointment book on any internet device. Okay, so that's what we're going to be going through today. Okay, so first and foremost, this webinar should probably last between 45 minutes to an hour. If you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them through the session. However, they will most likely be answered at the end, just so we can sort of get through everything, make sure everyone's comfortable and that kind of thing. Perfect. So a little bit of background of the cloud appointment book, just in case it's not something that you're familiar with. So the cloud appointment book, welcome to the cloud appointment book. You can view your entire appointment book on a mobile phone, tablet, or a computer, wherever you happen to be. Okay, so whether you're at home or in the salon, now I appreciate most people for the time being, unfortunately, are going to be at home, but it does give you that extra level of access. Okay, so if you do need to reschedule those appointments or get hold of any clients, you can do. Okay. Cloud reporting gives you all of your essential business reports. Okay, so it's not going to be all of the reports. There's 4 reports to look at, but they are going to be the essential business reports that you will require for the time being while we are self-isolating. Okay, so that will be in what we call a dashboard. Now we're going to go through this more towards the end of the session. Okay, and again, the dashboard and cloud reporting is all accessible from an internet browser on your mobile phone, your computer, anything with an internet device. Okay, I see a couple of people there just joining us as well. Hello, welcome. We're literally just going through the first bits. And targets is a feature we've launched, and it allows your staff to track their KPIs again from any internet device. If you're not familiar with what a KPI is, no problem. It just simply means key performance indicators. It's essentially how well they're doing. Okay. So basically what we can see here, we've got our cloud appointment book. We can view it from any internet device. We can view it from a mobile phone, a tablet, that kind of thing. Cloud reporting will give you all of your essential business reports, and targets is so you can track your business targets or each individual stylist or therapist targets. Okay. So that's just a brief background there for the cloud appointment book. So in today's session, we will be covering, first and foremost, how to set up the cloud appointment book. Now, there's essentially 2 ways to do it, and I'm going to cover both in today's session. We'll also be looking at how you can navigate your way around and understand the functions and features. We're also going to be showing how to give your employees the relevant access. Now, I appreciate at this time, a lot of you may be thinking your staff members are at home. We don't want them to have access to all of our client information, as well as that for GDPR purposes. So we're going to go through that to ensure your staff members have the relevant access to see and access what you want them to have access to. We're also going to be going through your cloud reporting and understanding how you can view those on the move and exactly how they work. And lastly, we're going to be going through how to track your business and employee targets. Okay. So, like I said at the beginning, we are going to be here for you through these difficult times as well as all the other times, of course. If you do need to drop us an email, please do at education@shortcuts.co.uk. Or you can give us a call on 0161 972 4900. Now, please do stay tuned on our website. We've got loads of helpful tips. We've got loads of resources. If you're going to be on my webinar next, which I believe is at 11 a.m., running through Shortcuts marketing, how we can send campaigns out, we're going to be running through all of that. But on our website, there's loads of blogs, tips. I recorded a video yesterday on Tuesday, the 24th of March, on how to uh, basically how to get confident and comfortable working from home, because I appreciate not all hairdressers have ever had the sort of privilege to work from home. So I've gone through some steps to make that a little bit easier for you as well. Okay. So what we're now going to do is we're going to jump into our live demonstration of how our cloud appointment book works. So the first thing we're going to run through is how to set access up for the cloud appointment book. Okay. Now there are essentially two ways to do this. Okay. So the first way I'm going to show you is predominantly if you are a multi-site salon. Okay. So that is if you have more than one site that you need your staff members to look at. Okay. This will also work if you are just a single site salon, but this way is predominantly if you are a multi-site salon and you need to give your staff members access at multiple salons. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we're going to open up our online console. Okay, and the URL for this is just console.shortcutsoftware.com. Okay, and I've highlighted it at the top of the screen for you. So it's console.shortcutsoftware.com. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to navigate our way down here to this blue square where it says Site Settings. If you have multiple sites, like I was saying, you can choose the particular site from the drop-down menu in the top right-hand corner, but you will also have the opportunity in a moment when you're setting your staff members up to choose all of the sites if you wish them to have access to all of the sites. So like I said, this is predominantly for multi-site users, okay? So on the right-hand side of the navigation bar, we're going to click onto Manage Users. Now you'll see this is obviously a test system, so I've got loads of people set up. On the right-hand side of the navigation bar, we're going to click onto Add a New User. Where it says Select User Type, we're going to choose a new user that is a point of sale employee, okay? This is somebody that will have a shortcuts pin, so essentially somebody that appears on your shortcuts fusion system. Now this is where we can choose the first site to choose from, so you will see I have two sites available. The first one I'm going to choose is my retreat in Birmingham, but in a moment we will have the opportunity to add another site in as well. On the right hand side, you would simply choose the employee, and we're going to click the continue button. At the top, you would pop their email address in, okay? This will be the staff member's personal email address because they will be sent a password to this. Okay, now you will see whatever email address you pop in there also becomes your username. This will make it easier to log in later on. So it's easier to remember your username if it is just simply your email address. Underneath, pop in their first and last name. This should automatically pull through for you, but like I said, I'm just working on a test system. Now, underneath, we have two role types here. We have our company roles and we have our site roles, okay? Now, within the cloud appointment book, doing it this way, there are four role types available. There is a company manager, call center, site manager, and employee. So company manager, which is this one just here, that will give your staff member full access to everything as well as every single site that you have, okay? So if you have more than one site, clicking company manager will give them access to all configuration items, all reports, all targets, and visible within every single site. A call center operator will give them full access to every single site, including including targets, but it won't give them access to configuration or reports, okay? So that would just be all sites. And then underneath, we have different roles available for each site, okay? So company roles is basically all of your salons, and site roles are roles within each individual site. So if you want to mix it up for each one of your sites. So like I said, the other two role types are site manager and employee. Site manager will give them access to everything at just this one site, okay? So all reports, all configuration items. So we give them full access to everything at Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham. Employee role will give them access to their own appointments only, and they can only update and edit during the working hours of the business. Outside of those working hours of the business, they will have view mode only, okay? So those are our four role types through the console: company manager, call center operator, site manager, and employee. Now I'm going to say that Chris Test here is a site manager at this particular site. Okay, so that meaning Chris at the Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham will have full access to all configuration, all reports, all targets at Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham. However, I also want him to have access at my other site. So underneath, I'm going to click the Add Sites button. And then underneath, you can choose the other site that you use. And on the right-hand side, simply choose the relevant employee, same as before. And then you can choose the same role types here. So I've said he's going to be a site manager at Birmingham, but for the Shortcut Software UK site, he's just going to be an employee. So when he toggles to Shortcut Software UK site, he will only have access to his own appointments. And that is the first way we can set up our staff member. When we're finished, we simply click the Save button in the right-hand corner. It will say Save Successful, and they will then be emailed their username, which as we saw is their email address, and a random password. Okay, so that is the first way to set someone up. So the second way to set someone up is directly through the Shortcuts Cloud Appointment Book. And the same as setting someone up, there are two ways to access the Cloud Appointment Book. The first way, in the top right-hand corner, you will see there is a little square, a little tile where it says Shortcuts Cloud, okay? And clicking on this will take us directly to the Cloud Appointment Book. So as we can see here, this is our Cloud Appointment Book. This is what it looks like. And we can toggle in the top right-hand corner. So you can see there I can now toggle between sites. But before we jump in and I show you how we can make appointments, I'm going to show you the second way to set a user up with the Cloud Appointment Book. Okay. So once we're in the Cloud Appointment Book, we saw one of the best ways to get to the Cloud Appointment Book was to use the tile. The second way is to simply type in the URL, which is just pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Now, you may wish to do this on your mobile phone so you have it. So I'm going to talk you through just really quickly how to do this. So once you've logged into the Cloud Appointment Book, pos.shortcutsoftware.com, inputted your username and your password. If you wish to save this on your mobile phone, essentially as an app, now when I say that, it's not going to be downloadable in the App Store. We're just going to save it as an app. So if you type this in on your internet page, pos.shortcutsoftware.com, and you want to save this essentially as an app. If you are an Android user, in the top right-hand corner, you would see three dots. You would click onto that and you would click the button where it says Add to Home Screen. If you are an iPhone user, you do exactly the same. Open up Safari or Chrome, or whichever is your preferred method of internet browsing. What you're going to do to save it essentially as an app, you're going to hit the home button. And what that is a square with an arrow facing upwards. And that is typically found down the center bottom of the screen. Again, you would click onto that and you'd click the button where it says Add to Home Screen. And that will save it on the home screen of your mobile phone for you. Okay, so that is the two ways to access the Cloud Appointment Book. One is through your online console, clicking the tile in the top right-hand corner. The second is to simply type in the website, pos.shortcutsoftware.com. That is the two ways we can access it. So now I'm going to show you the second way to set up a staff member with access to the Cloud Appointment Book. And this is done through the Cloud Appointment Book. And this is predominantly if you're just a single site user. Okay, so if you're watching this and you've just got the one salon, this is probably going to be your preferred method of doing it. Okay. So to set up a staff member, all we're going to do is we're going to click the menu button at the top of our screen. On the left-hand side, we're going to click where it says Employees and Rosters. To the right of that, we're going to click the Employees button. On the left-hand side, we're simply going to choose the relevant employee. Now, you will also see you can update the information here as well. But right down the bottom of the screen, you will see it says Roles and Login. Okay, this is where we're going to set Bex up with access to the Cloud Appointment Book. So I'm going to click onto Roles and Login. On the right-hand side, we're going to change Login access to Yes. And we're going to pop in the email address. And we're going to do exactly the same underneath. Now, as you're seeing, I've popped Bex's email address into her username. Again, this is just to make it a little bit easier. However, you do not have to do this if you don't want to. If you want to give Bex her own username, you can do. However, as I said at the beginning, it does make it a little bit easier if you keep people's username the same as their email address. It just makes life a little bit easier doing it this way. You will have to pop an email address again because they will be sent a random password, and they will also be sent the URL to log into the Cloud Appointment Book, which is, of course, just to reiterate, pos.shortcutsoftware.com. Okay, so once you've popped a username and a password in, again, typically the username will be the email address. Underneath, you will see we have those two role types specific for this site. Okay, so again, it's employee and site manager. And just to reiterate, in employee role type, they will have access to their own appointments only, so they'll only be able to see their own column. They'll only be able to see their reports and their own targets. They will only be able to edit it during the working hours of the business. Outside of the working hours of the business, it will be a view mode only. Okay, so they won't be able to make any changes. But that is, however, by default. And in just a couple of moments, I'm going to show you how you can change those levels of access if you wish to. The second role type is Site Manager. Now, again, Site Manager, they will have access to everyone's column. They will have access to all configuration items and all reports. They will also be able to edit it and view it outside of the working hours of the business. But again, those are the two default role types with the default levels of permissions. But I am going to show you in just a few moments how you can change those levels of permission. So all you would do is simply choose whichever the role type was and click the Done button in the bottom right hand corner. Username successfully updated at all sites, and that will now create username, a password, and login details for Bex. Okay, and exactly the same if your staff member that you just set up, like I did here for Bex, if they wanted to save it to their home screen, if it's an Android, top three dots in the right hand corner and add to home screen. If it's an iPhone user, you're going to click the square with the arrow facing upwards and click add to home screen again. Okay, so as you can see there, I've just set one of my staff members up with access at this particular site. Okay, and I've chosen the relevant role type for that user. What I'm now going to go through is how you can chop and change those levels of permissions I just went through for each role, and also show you how to create your own role type. So, for instance, you may wish to give someone slightly more access than the employee role, but slightly less access than the site manager role. So to do this, again at the top of the screen, we're going to click the menu button. And on the left-hand side, we're going to click where it says General Settings. And we're going to click the Roles button just here. And again, on the left-hand side, you can see those two default role types for this particular site I was just talking about. On the right-hand side, you will also see a list of staff members that have already been signed up to this role type. Underneath, this is where you will see those permissions, the permissions I was just speaking about, saying an employee role can only see their own column and they can only edit it during the working hours and so forth. But let's say we wanted to change those levels of permissions. You thought to yourself, actually, I don't mind if my employee role can see other users' columns as well. To change the levels of permissions, you simply click the red permissions button just here. And you can view the permissions categories just here. Simply expand and toggle yes to no. So you can see at the moment it says I can view the appointments of other users. Yes, you may wish to change this back to no or back to yes. I can create the appointments of other users and so forth. So this is where you would change it. Now, I appreciate some of you may be a little bit concerned that your staff members are now going to be at home with access to all of your salon's clients and their information. So if you wanted to change that under the customer permission category, you would just simply ensure that this is toggled to no. I can view customer contact details, no. Okay. And that will mean that they cannot see client information outside work. Okay. So if you're worried about them accessing client details and that kind of thing. Okay. Now, just to let you know, you will have to be a site manager to change this. Okay. So our employees will not be able to change it accordingly. Okay, so that is how we can change the levels of permissions, okay, for each individual role. But what about if we wanted to set up our own role type? Okay, so maybe you wanted to create like an assistant manager, head front of house, head receptionist, that kind of thing. Again, maybe one that has more access than the employee role, but less access than the site manager role. To create your own role, simply down the bottom, click the new button. And just at the top here, this is where you're going to type in the name of your role. Underneath, you can also upgrade one of your users to this role type, and you can also set someone up this way as well. So once you've created a role type, you can also set someone up this way. And underneath, this is where you would change the permissions. Now, by default, if you create your own role type, such as head receptionist, the levels of permissions are all set to no by default. So you will have to go in and change this. Okay, so you'll have to just toggle things yes to no, no to yes, that kind of thing. And when you're happy, you simply click the done button, and that will create that role type. So you'll now see we've got 3 role types. So just to reiterate there, we've gone through how to access the cloud appointment book, the 2 ways to access it, and of course the 2 ways to set up your staff members with the relevant access, and also how to change those levels of permissions and create your own role types if applicable. Okay, and that is setting up staff members with the cloud appointment book. So what we're now going to run through is we're going to go through cloud reporting, okay? Now, don't worry, the last thing I do for this session, I'm going to show you how to make appointments because it's super duper easy. So once we've done this, we're now going to go through reporting, and then I will show you how to create and edit appointments, that kind of thing, okay? So what we're going to go through now is we're going to go through your cloud reporting. So right at the top of the screen, we're going to click onto the menu button. And on the bottom left-hand side, we're going to click where it says reports. Now you will see here we have essentially 5 reports, and we've got targets at the end, which we're going to go through in just a few moments. You will also see the first thing which we're going to touch on first is our dashboard. You will also see at the top blue shaded area at the top, we also have dashboard up here. They're both exactly the same, okay? So it's entirely up to you which one you want to use. But we'll start with dashboard. Just while this loads, I'll explain how the dashboard works and essentially what it is. So the dashboard will track the same days of the week this year compared to the same days of the week last year. Okay, so enabling you to view trends. Okay, the reason it does days of the week instead of dates is it's to better suit seasonal events, that kind of thing. Because of course you may have been closed last year or this year, that kind of thing. So this is your dashboard. This is essentially a business overview, if you like. This will basically pull all of your reports together for you, okay? Now at the top, this is where we can change our date range. So you can click onto the calendar, and underneath you will see there are some default date ranges to choose from. If not, you can simply choose your own. And it's a 2-step process to choose your own date range. Simply choose the first date to start from. So I'm going to say December 2019. And I'm going to click my first date to search from. And I'm going to then choose my second date, which will be today. And that will then search from the 1st of December 19 up to today. To the right hand side, again, if you have more than one site, so if you're a multiple salon user, you can toggle between these 2 as well. On the right hand side, you can also toggle between your employees. By default, it will show you all of your employees. To the right, you can decide whether you want to view it excluding tax or including tax. As it is at the moment, that means we are viewing it excluding tax. Okay, so I'm going to explain how the dashboard works. So along the top, we have our 10 KPI tiles. And again, KPI meaning key performance indicators. So I'll explain what each of them means. Now you will see there is a little percentage and a green, red, or an orange swatch, color swatch next to it. A green represents an increase of 5% or more on last year. Red represents a decrease of 5% or more on last year. And orange means anything from 0 to 5%. Okay, so essentially you're on par with last year. So let's have a look at our KPI tiles. So net sales. Net sales is sales inclusive of retail and services. Okay, so that's essentially all revenue in for retail services alike. Average per ticket. Now, ticket is what we refer to as a transaction. So anything through the till. Okay, so ticket is a transaction. So average per ticket is an average spend per transaction. Okay. Visits, that is how many people came through the door. That's how many visits we've had. New customer visits, that is how many people which came through your door, which were brand new to your salon. Rebooking percentage. Now, rebookings works very slightly different in the cloud appointment book. You may be familiar with rebooking reports in Fusion. That is where you give your employee a credit. However, rebooking in the cloud appointment book is simply if that client remakes an appointment for a different day, even if they don't fulfill that appointment, they have still technically rebooked their appointment. Service sales, that is money generated from services alike. And retail sales is money generated from retail sales. Okay, so it splits those two. Retail items per ticket, that is the individual specific amount of retail products purchased per transaction. So that's the shampoos, that's the conditioners, the nail varnishes, and so forth. Retail conversion, that is if people that were purely coming in for a service also purchased a retail product. So they were upsold something as well as they were coming in for a service and they then purchased a retail product as well. Upsells is exactly the same. Again, if they were only coming in for a service, but they also had a retail product purchased. And it's also if they upsold their service. So, for instance, if they were coming in for a blow dry, but they left with a cut and blow dry, or if they were having a root in and they left with a full head tint. So, anything that was upsold. Okay. And that is our 10 KPI tiles. Now, underneath, we have some little pie charts, and most of this information is also pulled through from the top. So on the left-hand side, you will see our sales, okay? Now, the blue section is services, okay? So that's money generated from services. And we can track that at the top just here, 3608, 3608. The pink section is retail, and the green is other. So that's things like gift cards, gift certificates, and so forth, account payments, anything like that. Now, the yellow section, pre-booked, that is if you are looking at a date range into the future, or if you have any appointments booked in for today that have yet to be checked out. So the reason it shows you that is a bit like a forecast. So if you think if we're looking into the future, it will show you the amount of money you're set to accrue from the services currently booked in. Okay, so that is your pre-booked services. In the middle, we have your booking, visit, and source. Now, I'm using a test system, so don't worry. Typically, yours will have Fusion, Cloud, and Other. So Fusion is your main shortcut system. That is when people are making appointments. Shortcuts Live / Shortcuts Cloud, when you see it on yours, that is what we're going through now. Okay, and unknown could be things like the Anywhere app or anything like that, but yours will typically say Fusion and Cloud, and it will also have something maybe like Google My Business if you are a Google My Business user. That's where clients are booking online through Google. Okay, so booking, visit, and source are essentially how clients are making appointments for your salon. Clients visits by status. These are the kind of clients you're getting through your door. So we have new, returning, and walk-in. New being new clients through the door. Returning are clients that have been to your salon before and have simply returned. And walk-in is if you're using the hashtag walk-in or walk-in manager for our barbershop users. Okay. Underneath that, you will see we have a table for our employee performance. Now, this is a great way when you're at home, as I understand in these difficult times, a lot of us are at home now. So employee performance is a great way to aid and assist with the wages and salaries on payments of your staff members, okay? So on the left-hand side, you will see we have a list of all of our staff members. To the right of that, you will see their net sales. That is money generated from services and retail. Now, you will also see we have these red or green arrows. That simply indicates they have increased or decreased on last year. This amount here isn't how much they've increased or decreased by. Unfortunately, it can't pull all of that information through. It is just simply saying they have increased or decreased. But this is the amount that they've done for this date period. Average per ticket, that is the average spend per transaction. So that's roughly how much a client spends per transaction with this particular staff member. Visits is, of course, how many visits they have had through the door. And rebooking percentage, that is the percentage of their clients which have rebooked their appointments. Service sales, this is money generated from services alone. And retail sales is, of course, money generated from retail sales. And the last column of our table is retail items per ticket. This is the individual specific amount of retail products purchased per transaction. So the shampoos, the conditioners. So we can see a lot of this information pulled into the employee performance table is also pulled from the top of our table just up here where our KPIs were. Okay, now hope everyone's staying with me. This is a lot of information to take in, but this really will aid and assist you in these difficult times where we're finding a lot of our salons are at home for the next couple of days and weeks. Now, underneath, you will have something called audit actions. Now, audit actions is essentially anything which may have caused your business to lose money, such as cancelled appointments, voided transactions, or any discounts. Okay. Underneath this, we have our campaign ROI. Now, this is only for Shortcuts Marketing, which is my next webinar at 11 o'clock. So your campaign ROI, which I will touch base on that. So if you're watching this webinar and then decide to watch my next webinar, you will also see this used as well. Okay, so this shows you your Shortcuts Marketing campaigns. And that, ladies and gents, is our dashboard. Okay, so like I said, it's basically our business as an overview. What I'm now going to go through is our each individual specific reports, but you will see a lot of information is duplicated from here into each individual specific report. So again, I'm going to click onto the menu button, and on the left-hand side, I'm going to click reports. And the first report I'm going to look at is employee productivity. Okay, so essentially how well your staff members are utilizing their time in the salon. Now, for those of you that looked at quite a lot of reports in our Fusion system, it's very similar to our roster analysis, our appointment roster analysis report. And again, this shows the productivity of your staff members. So on the left-hand side, again, of course, we have a list of all of our staff members. To the right of that, we have our booked hours. Now, booked hours are the amount of hours they were booked out with clients, so they're busy periods. The booked amount is how much money was generated from being booked out with clients. Available hours, those are the hours they were set to work. So that was their rostered hours for that week, month, year, whichever date period you are looking at. Now, estimated amount of available hours, that is worked out from if they were fully booked, looking historically at how much money they make per hour, that is how much money they could make through all of the hours they are set to work. Okay. Utilization, this is an important one to look at. Now, I appreciate it's probably going to be a little bit lower for most people whilst we're not able to fulfill our services, but our utilization is how well they utilize their time in a percentage format. So we can see that Amelia here was booked out with clients for 10.25 hours, and she was available for over 1,000 hours. Okay, so she was only really utilizing her time for 1%. Now, appreciate here, I'm looking at a huge date range of 116 days. Okay. Then we've got our percentage of total booked hours. Now, that will basically give each of your staff member a percentage. So basically a slice of who was booked out the most with clients. So all of these percentages here will all add up to 100 down the bottom. So you can see as a quick glance in a percentage format who was most booked with clients. And then we have the same theory on the right-hand side, the percentage of total booked amount, okay? So this is, again, a percentage of each of your staff members showing you how much they were booked out with clients, who earned the most amount of money. And then we've got number of clients, that is, of course, how many clients they did. And again, the percentage of clients. So who had the biggest slice of clients, okay? So we can see Amy had 28.57, Amelia had 28.57, and so forth. And again, all of these add up to 100%. So we can see who had the biggest slice. And then historical revenue per hour is historically how much money they earn per hour for the business. Okay, this is worked out by the services they do per hour. Our next report we're going to look at is our trading summary. Now, this will be very important to look at. Like I said, especially if you're finding yourself at home for the time being, your trading summary will show you what you've taken over a particular date period. Now, this report is pretty much exactly the same as your trading summary you have in Fusion. Okay. However, one thing to bear in mind with this, there are a couple of things which appear on the left that typically appear on the right in your Fusion trading summary report. And also with this report at the bottom, we do not have a list of all of your staff members and what they took, okay? That is the only main difference. So our trading summary. Again, we've got the date range along the top. We can filter between sites. We can decide whether it's going to be including tax or excluding tax. And with this report, we can also export it out, okay? So this can be exported out to CSV, PDF file, and emailed across if applicable. So how this works is it will show you your sales. That'll be your service and your retail. And again, it will be X tax and including tax as well for that. Your prepayments liabilities, that is money that is owed back to the business. Now that's usually through programs, memberships, gift cards, accounts, that kind of thing. It is money which is owed back to the business. Okay. Redemptions, that is things like series and promotions, discounts, that kind of thing. On the right hand side, we have your takings, what you took in cash, what you took in card. Okay, so you can keep track of things. Underneath, we've got your ticket averages. Again, a ticket is a transaction, so anything that went through the till. So it'll have your product transactions, your service transactions, and the average ticket as well. And last but not least, to the right-hand side of that, you'll have your customers. So we've got the type of customers we get through the door. So we've got your walk-in customers, your new customers returning, female, male, and unspecified. Okay. And that is your trading summary. So if we just click the back button again, the last report we're going to look at for the time being is your employee performance report. So you'll see right at the top, we have a little table. Now, the first table is for services alone. Okay, so this is just going to be purely services. So we can see the amount of money generated from services, service tickets, that is how many service transactions that were put through the till, and service units are the specific individual services. So the cuts, colors, blow dries, tints, manicures, pedicures, that kind of thing. Average service per service ticket. So that's roughly how much money is spent per service per transaction. Average service units per service ticket. That is on average how many services a client has per visit. So if they're just having a cut or if they're having a cut, color, tint, blow dry, that kind of thing. Rebooking, that's how many rebookings were made. And then we have a rebooking percentage. Then we also have an upsell. Okay, so that's anything that was upsold for a service. So if they came in for a root tint and left with a full head tint. And then we have our upsell quantity. So that is how many upsells there were. And that is our service table. So we can minimize that and we can expand our retail table. And it works in exactly the same way. So we've got our retail spend, retail tickets, retail units, retail spend per service ticket, and so forth. So it works exactly the same as your services, but is predominantly for retail. Then underneath, you will see we have your total. Now that will accumulate, what am I trying to say? Add up basically your services and retail. So it's a cumulative for your service and your retail together there. So it's your totals there. You'll also then have your average spend, your sundry, those are one-off payments. You got your gift card and your gift certificates, series, tickets. We've got your discount promotion and quantities, any tips that will run through the till and onto a card machine. And we've also got your tips quantity. So how many tips went through the till. And underneath that, you will also see we have your hours. Now, very similar to the productivity report we looked at just a few moments ago. So you see we've got your productivity percentage, the worked hours, the booked hours, so how often they were booked out with clients, how long for, average per worked hour, average tickets per hour, average service spend per hour, and average service tickets per hour. So again, roughly how many services they do per hour and how much they accumulate per hour. And last but not least, we have customer visits. Okay, so these are the kind of customers you got through the door. So these are going to be the total amount of visits you had through the door, whether they were a walk-in, the percentage according, new, returning, male, female, child, and unspecified. Okay, and that is our employee performance report. Now, just before I show everyone how to start making appointments in the Cloud Appointment Book, hope everyone's still with me. I appreciate we should just finish bang on time for the hour. Appreciate it's been a lot to take in. Just before I show you how to make appointments, the last thing I'm going to go through is how to set up targets. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set the target up. So again, we're going to click onto the menu button and we're going to click onto employees and rosters. On the right hand side, we're going to click targets setup. Now you can set targets up for the business as a whole, or you can set targets up for each individual staff member, or you can do it for both if you wish to. So you can do it for the business or employees or both. It's entirely up to you. Now, for the time being, ladies and gents, I will just say the targets are only weekly, okay? But in the future, we are looking to do fortnightly and monthly targets for the foreseeable future. But for the time being, it is purely weekly targets. And underneath, you can change whether these targets include tax or exclude tax. Now, as we look at all of these parameters here, you do not have to fill all of them out if you don't wish to. If you just wish to fill net sales out, you can do. If you just wish to fill service sales out, you can do. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to say my net sales for my Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham are going to be £4,000. And you will also see in the top right-hand corner, again, we can toggle between sites if applicable. So for my Shortcuts Retreat Birmingham, my net sales per week are going to be £4,000. So I'm going to click the done button to confirm that target. Okay, so now what we can do is we can now track this target, and it's very easy to do. It's just simply done via our reports, just like before. So again, I'm going to click onto the menu button. I'm going to click onto reports, and I'm going to click the targets report. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you will see here we've got my net sales. That is my target. And I've generated £0 so far. So unfortunately, I've not generated any money so far to hit my target, thus telling me I am 100% below my target, which is £4,000. Now, looking at our bar graph here, our line graph, sorry, I should say, on the left-hand side, you will see we have all of the monetary amounts. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and so forth. Down the bottom, we have the days of the week. So we've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And you'll also see we've got our little key just down here. Now, the dashed grey line is your target. That is what you need to make every day. So by the end of the working week, you've hit your target. The dashed blue line is any pre-booked services you have booked in. So essentially, it's letting you know a bit of a forecast that you should hit your target if those appointments stay correctly booked in. And the solid blue line is your actual amount of money you've earned so far. So you can see my solid blue line, unfortunately, is right down the bottom. But my target here, my dashed grey line for each day, so it says I'm £667 below target. Keep going. So it's nice and encouraging. What this is telling us that I'm £667 below target for today. If I carry on at this track, I would hit my target. So it lets me know what I need to hit each day to smash my weekly target. And if we go to Tuesday, I am now £1,333 below my target. And again, as we continue through the days of the week, it lets us know what we need to hit that day in order to be on track and smash our target. And that is it, ladies and gents. That is our cloud reporting. So the last thing is, of course, I'm now going to show you how to create appointments in the Cloud Appointment Book and make appointments, edit, delete, that kind of thing. Because I appreciate some of you are going to have clients you now need to contact and just reschedule their appointment for the next couple of weeks. Okay. So this is our Cloud Appointment Book, and I'm going to give you a basic overview of this. So in the top left-hand corner, you will see we have today's date, Wednesday the 25th of March. If we click onto this, we can choose a specific month or we can choose a specific day. Today's date is always highlighted in red. Okay, so clicking onto any specific date will of course take us to that date. As we move across the screen, you will also see you've got all of your staff members in their column. It will pull their photographs through from your Fusion system. It will also take into consideration any resources or any capabilities you have set up. Down the bottom of the screen, we have the same 5 buttons available to us. So we have the Today button, the Day Forward, the Week Forward, Day Back, and Week Back. Down the left-hand side, we have your appointment intervals. Again, exactly the same as your Shortcuts Fusion system. One thing you may have noticed, our eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that on each of our columns, we have the hour marker. So 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and so forth. Again, just making it just that tiny little bit easier to accurately ensure we correctly book the appointment. You may also notice we have this red line which runs through the day. This lets us know exactly where we're up to in the day, okay? Now what we can also do, you may also notice that Preeti and Jay are not set to work today. So what we can do, just like in Fusion, we can also filter our appointment book down. In the top left-hand corner, you will see under our Shortcuts logo, we have an upside down triangle. If we click onto this, we can filter our appointment book down. Now, the most common way to filter is by rostered on. So if we toggle rostered on to yes, this will show us staff members that are only set to work today. You can save this filter if you wish to, so you don't have to keep applying it. If not, just simply click the apply button. And you will now see it has removed Preeti and Jay, who were not set to work today. To remove this filter, simply reverse the process and just take the tick out of this box on the left-hand side. And you'll see it now brings back Preeti and Jay. Making an appointment is very, very easy in the Cloud Appointment Book. It's just like normal Shortcuts Fusion. Now, of course, if you are accessing this on a phone or a tablet, you would just simply choose the correct time and the correct cell and just tap onto it with your finger. So I'm going to click or tap onto the screen. And you can see we can search for existing customers in our database. We can also view recent customers, any checked out customers, or any remaining customers for today. You can also pop a task in. These are like your do not moves, your lunch, your meeting. These all pull through from Shortcuts Fusion. Next to this, you can also add a new client in. So if you've got clients contacting you that are brand new to your salon that wish to be booked in, you can do that here. Once you've chosen the correct client, you will see it brings up all of their personal information. Underneath, you can also add a temporary note in for this appointment. Underneath, it will also show you any future appointments that they have booked in, again, ensuring we accurately book it correctly. And underneath, it will show you any last 3 visits. Underneath this, it will also pull through in this gray shaded area, it will pull through any alerts that this client has. You can also edit and or update the alerts here as well. Simply click the next button to choose the relevant service for this client. Now in the Cloud Appointment Book, you can search for categories or you can search for services. You can use previous services, or you can just simply choose from your service categories just like before. Down the bottom, it will give you an overview of this appointment. So we can see it is a blow dry with Gary and the total is £20.50. Now you can tick this box to request it if you wish to. Simply click the done button to confirm this appointment. Okay, so you will see the appointment has now been made. Now, as I'm sure you're familiar with your Shortcuts Fusion, you can also make the appointment longer and shorter and also drag it around. So if you're doing this on a phone or a tablet, simply place your finger in the bottom right-hand corner of the appointment and then just swipe down. Now, there is a handy little tip and trick to this, is it's place your finger on it for a split second and then drag down. If, of course, you're using this on a PC or a laptop, you can click and drag down. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to place our finger or our mouse, click, and then swipe or drag down. We can make the appointment longer and shorter. If we wish to move this appointment around the screen, it's exactly the same, but in the top left-hand corner. So we can now see we can move the appointment around. Now, one thing to bear in mind is, of course, if you are accessing this on a phone or a tablet, we're not going to have a mouse plugged in. So there isn't essentially a way to right click. So, like where we would arrive, delete, that kind of thing. But we can still do most of those same functions. So all we need to do is literally tap onto it or click onto it with our mouse. And you will see it will bring up our touch tip box. In the bottom right hand corner, you will see we have 3 dots. Clicking onto this or tapping onto this will replicate a right click command. So we can now arrive the client, no show, cancel, and so forth. Now, one thing I am going to show you is how to reschedule this appointment, because of course, unfortunately, we may be needing to do this for the next couple of weeks. So we're going to simply click onto the reschedule button. It will bring up a calendar on the left-hand side of your screens. Simply choose a date you wish to reschedule to. It will then say click on a time slot to reschedule. From the 25th of March at 10:30 to the 26th of March at 12 o'clock, simply click the reschedule button to confirm this. You'll see it has brought through both of those appointments that we had booked in. Now, if we wish to arrive or delete, it's exactly the same way as before. We're going to tap onto it, click the 3 dots. We can arrive if we're on the correct day. We can cancel, rebook, change appointment. Now, down here, you will see this is the customer history. This is where any notes or visit service history notes will appear. Okay, you can also update those as well. So I'm just going to cancel this appointment. So I'm going to click onto the cancel button. We can pop some cancellation notes in, and we have the same 3 reasons just underneath. Always confirm it by clicking the red delete button in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm just going to delete the last appointment. So again, I tapped onto it, click the 3 dots in the bottom right-hand corner, click the cancel button, choose my reason, and click the delete button in the bottom right-hand corner. So there we have it, ladies and gents. I hope everyone's found that informative. That is setting up our cloud appointment book, accessing the relevant roles and permissions within the cloud appointment book. We've gone through our reporting as well as targets. And last but not least, we've gone through making appointments, deleting appointments, and accessing our customer history notes. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those across to me now. Okay, no problem. No questions coming through so far. Hopefully that just means I've managed to cover everything. Hope everyone's found it. I appreciate that was a lot to take in, but I tried to be as in-depth as humanly possible because I appreciate everyone's a little bit stressed, a little bit nervous at this time. So we just want to alleviate some of that pressure by showing you how to access your cloud appointment book, still giving you access to your appointment book and your clients, that kind of thing. So you can reschedule those appointments if need be. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. Do stay tuned for my next webinar, which is also very, very handy if you found you've had to temporarily close. I think everyone's had to temporarily close after Boris Johnson's speech the other day. But yeah, do definitely stay tuned for my webinar in just over half an hour for Shortcuts Marketing, which will be predominantly aimed at sending out campaigns to your clients, especially in this period. No worries at all, Cheryl. My pleasure. Okay, so good question, Christian. Can you see when a stylist has clocked in? Not on this, unfortunately. It doesn't pull through clocked in, no. Perfect. Any other questions for me this morning, ladies and gents? Please feel free to drop them across. Don't be shy. Even if you think it seems a silly question, do please ask. because somebody else may be wanting to ask it as well. So please don't be shy on any of my webinars. Perfect. Okay. So I think that's it for all of the questions. No problem. If you find yourself on one of my other webinars later and you do remember a question, no problem at all. Just drop it at the end and just let me know that it was from the first webinar. If not, do drop us an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. You can put it for the reference of me. Again, my name was Chris, and you can just say it was on one of the webinars. But if not, any of the team will be happy to help. Rowan just asked, do we have access to the working schedule to edit the working hours? Not for the time being, Rowan. No, not for the time being in this. We can't edit the schedule. It is something we're hopefully going to bring in to be able to access this schedule. But when it was obviously first created, we were just a little bit conscious that we're going to get people changing themselves to day off, sick, holiday, that kind of thing, outside of the working hours of the business. So we needed a way to keep it fully on track. But we do appreciate at the time being needs must, that kind of thing, and priorities do change. But yes, for the time being, we don't have access to edit the working hours, unfortunately. Okay, perfect. So, like I said, I think that's it now for the questions. If you do have any more questions, please feel free to drop those across. It's not a problem. Oh, what's the clock for? In the bottom left-hand corner? That's if people have been booked in and they're due to be arrived. So let's say you've got a client booked in and you haven't arrived them on the system. That's to let you know that they're due to arrive, or if you have arrived them, how long they've been essentially sat waiting. No problem at all, Christian. Okay, so again, thank you ever so much for joining me this morning, ladies and gents. It's been a pleasure speaking to everyone. Like I said, do jump on all of our webinars. We will be doing webinars every Wednesday. We may be running some extra ones this week. I'm not really sure for the time being, but we are going to be doing everything we can to support you guys and help you guys out at this difficult time. Do jump onto our website. Like I said, I did record a video yesterday just running through some tips and tricks for your staff members working at home, things to get confident, things to get comfortable with, that sort of thing. We will be having videos on our website as well, our sort of tips, our blogs, those kind of things. We've also got a communication kit on there as well, just to help everyone out. So do stay in contact with us. If you need anything, you know where we are. But if not, it's been a pleasure speaking to everyone this morning. Hopefully, speak to you all again very, very soon, if not on my next webinar. Thank you ever so much. Again, my name was Chris, and it was lovely speaking with you all. Thank you ever so much. Bye bye.